Today is Charlie Kirk's birthday, and it's hard to believe that he would have only been 32 years old today. Think about everything he managed to accomplish in such a short time here on Earth. Now, as you guys know, Trump has been in the Middle East trying to bring peace to the Middle East, working out a deal between Israel and the Palestinians. But he made sure that he made it back to Washington, D.C. just in time to honor Charlie Kirk today with the Presidential Medal of Freedom. And I was really happy to see that Trump was doing this. And I mean, it was obviously a top priority for him because in the middle of trying to solve a war that's been going on for so damn long, he makes sure that he got back to Washington, D.C. to give Charlie Kirk, or to award Charlie Kirk's family with that medal. Now, obviously, Erika Kirk was there, and she gave a speech that I really want you guys to listen to. Because if you are someone who is a fan of Charlie, if you ever watched any of his debates, if you're someone who has followed this case, I definitely think it's worth the time listening to Erika's full speech, which I'll play for you in just a moment. But during this speech, she talked about a few different things, including the fact that Charlie may have ran for president one day. And I don't think that really comes as a big surprise to any of us. But I do think that some people, let me take that back. I do think that some people, maybe even a lot of people, don't really realize how important Charlie was, especially to the Republican Party. Charlie was definitely going to be a future president, if you ask me. I think he was one of the most important figures in the conservative movement or in the Republican Party, whatever you want to call it. And by taking Charlie out, you know, I think you could make the argument that taking Charlie out was more effective than possibly taking someone else out who is in office right now. Because Charlie was the future. I mean, think about it. Think about Charlie having to do a presidential debate against someone like Kamala Harris or Joe Biden or something. You know, the results would be catastrophic. So I think that Charlie had the charisma. He had obviously the debating skills. He had the ability to speak. And he had also the ability to reach younger people. So I think that's why, or that's one of the reasons why Charlie had such a big target on his back. And I think that a lot of people have described Charlie as just a podcaster or something like that. And people who describe him in that manner, they don't really understand how important Charlie was. But during Erika's speech, there were moments that, man, they were real tearjerkers for sure. She talks about Charlie's kids and their birthday message to Charlie. And, you know, they're too young to really understand what happened to their father. And they're too young to understand that, you know, he's not coming back. And it's heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking to hear. But I want to go ahead and play this speech for you. Like I said, I think it's important to watch it in its entirety. You guys can listen. Let me know your thoughts as you listen. And then after the speech, of course, I'll be right back with more thoughts of my own. Let's go ahead and roll that clip, and then I'll be right back.
Mr. President, for honoring my husband in such a profound and meaningful way. And thank you for making this event a priority amid the peace process in the Middle East. Thank you. Very grateful. Charlie always admired your commitment to freedom, and that's something that both of you shared. So thank you. Your support of our family and the work that Charlie devoted his life to will be something I cherish forever, so thank you. To our gracious First Lady in her office for making this event possible, thank you as well. It's beautiful. To Vice President and the lovely Usha fans, your friendship has been an unbelievable encouragement. Thank you. And to all our friends and family that are here and watching from all around the world, thank you for loving us. Thank you for praying for us and for believing in what Charlie believed in. And to our Turning Point USA staff and the Charlie Kirk Show staff, we love you more than you could ever know. And to the Turning Point USA chapters that are watching all across America right now, you are the heartbeat of this future and of this movement. Everything that Charlie built, you guys are the legacy holders of that. You are living proof that his mission did not die with him. It lives through you. And Charlie always said the next generation will decide whether freedom endures. And because of you, I know that freedom will endure. It will. And today we're gathered not only to celebrate Charlie's birthday, but to honor a truth that he gave his entire life to defend, and that's freedom. The very existence of the Presidential Medal of Freedom reminds us that the national interest of the United States has always been freedom. Our founders etched it into the preamble of our Constitution, and those words are not relics on parchment. They are a living covenant. The blessings of liberty are not man's invention, they are God's endowment. Charlie lived for those blessings, not as abstract words, but as sacred promises. He used to love to journal about this topic all the time, and with such a heart postured of gratitude. And he believed that liberty was both a right and a responsibility. And he used to say, freedom is the ability to do what is right without fear. And that's how he lived. He was free from fear. He was free from compromise, free from anything that could enslave his soul. His name, Charles, literally means free man. And that's exactly who my husband was. He was a free man. And from the time I met him, sitting across from him, being interviewed on politics and philosophy and theology, anything that Charlie loved, any topic he loved, and I just saw the fire in his soul, and there was this divine restlessness within him that came from knowing God placed him on this earth to protect something very, very sacred for all of us. And he never stopped fighting for people to experience freedom. He didn't. Charlie often said that without God, freedom becomes chaos. And he believed liberty could only survive when anchored to truth. And I remember in one of his speeches, he told the audience that the opposite of liberty isn't law. He said it's captivity. And that the freest people in the world are those whose hearts belong to Christ. But what's so powerful is that Charlie had the ability to communicate so brilliantly across all generations. And he reminded us that in a world that tells us freedom is doing whatever you want to do, the real freedom is the power to live freely and to do what is right. And in one of his journal entries, he wrote that he wanted everyone to know that you can't have liberty without moral responsibility. Freedom divorced from faith eventually just destroys itself. And what's so fascinating about all of this is looking back these past 12 years of Turning Point USA and his mission, there's almost this veil of sacredness. Because what I realize is that while he was building an organization, he was also building a movement, one that called people back to God, back to truth, and a movement that was filled with courage. And ironically, for a man who impacted millions, Charlie never desired to be the center of attention. He just wasn't. My husband was not a man of extravagance. He loved simple but deeply meaningful things. Truly. He loved his late night walks. He loved buying more books than he could ever read because he felt there was no such thing as a book budget. And he loved being able to read to our kids the same bedtime story on repeat because he knew it was their favorite. But to him, that was special. And he loved to sit in the sun on a Saturday morning with his cup of decaf coffee, and his phone was off because he was honoring the Sabbath. And for him, it was that moment to catch his breath and just be in peace because he was unreachable at the moment. And he preferred quiet birthdays. But that never stopped me from telling him. I told him every single year, I said, baby, I love your birthday. I said, because it's the day that God knew the world couldn't go another day without you. And so the rhythm of our usual birthday celebration for him was mint ice cream, mint chocolate chip ice cream. He only had it twice a year, on his birthday and 4th of July. It's just, and then after that, it was back to work as usual. But last year, his one birthday wish was to see the Oregon Ducks play the Ohio State. And they won. Oregon won that night. And it was by far one of the most memorable nights of his birthday experience of his life until today. And so, honestly, President Trump, I have spent 7.5 years trying to find the perfect birthday gift for Charlie. And it's so difficult. And those of you that have spouses or loved ones, you know how difficult it is sometimes to buy a gift for someone that you love, because he wasn't a materialistic man, so that also did not help. But now I can say with confidence, Mr. President, that you have given him the best birthday gift he could ever have.
Thank you, man.
It's such an honor and the recognition of a life lived for defending freedom. And that's what Charlie fought for until his last breath. And it was written across his chest in those final moments on one of his simple t-shirts that always carried a message, and this one bearing a single word, freedom. That was the banner over his life, and that shirt was a declaration. The same declaration he made in every speech, every campus visit, every time he shared the gospel at a church, every sleepless night that he would spend praying for the youth of this nation and planning for the future of our country, and just impressing upon them that when we defend liberty, we defend the soul of our nation. My husband never told anyone what to say. He never did. He never told anyone what to say. He would just encourage them to think. He would encourage them to think outside of the traditional political labels. He would want them to think in a way that was anchored in wisdom and truth. But he would never tell anyone what to say. Charlie wasn't content to simply admire freedom. He wanted to multiply it. He wanted to multiply freedom. He wanted young people to taste it and to understand it and defend it. He wanted them to see that liberty isn't self-indulgence, it's self-governance under God. He wanted them to see that. And every day I'd see him getting ready for work. He'd put on his cross necklace, he'd put his ring on his finger. And the boldness in his demeanor was always fearlessness. He wasn't afraid. He was never afraid. In his daily actions, whether in office or on campus or at a church, it was always without fear. That was his creed. That is how he lived out every single day. He didn't fear being slandered. He did not. He didn't fear losing friends, I can tell you that. He didn't. He didn't care. He stood for truth and stood for freedom, and he did not, everything else was just noise to him. And it's because his confidence in Christ was absolute. That's why. There was no limit to what he would have sacrificed to defend freedom for all. And if the moment had come, he probably would have run for president, but not out of ambition. He would only have done it if that was something that he believed that his country needed from a servant's heart standpoint. And Charlie lived only 31 short years. No, he's 32, but on this side of heaven, but he lived. He lived every single second he lived. He filled every single day with purpose, and he fought for truth when it was unpopular. And he stood for God when it was costly, but that's what we're called to do. Surprisingly enough, he did pray for his enemies, which is very hard, but he did. He did. He did. No one else, I mean, I saw him do it. No, he never did it in front of anyone else, but I can attest to that. But he also loved people when it was inconvenient. And he ran his race with endurance, and he kept the faith. And now he wears the crown of a righteous martyr. And for me and for our children, the truth really steadies our grief, because heaven gained what earth could no longer contain: a free man made fully free. And to all watching, this is not a ceremony. This is a commissioning. And my message is simple. I want you to be the embodiment of this medal. I do. I want you to free yourself from fear. I want you to stand courageously in the truth. Listen for the still, small voice of God. And remember that while freedom is inherited in this country, each of us must be intentional stewards every single day. God began a mighty work through my husband, and I intend to see it through. And the torch is in our hands now. It's in mine, it's in yours, it's in all of yours, it's in all the students with Turning Point USA. And before I close, I'll share with you that I asked our daughter what she would like to say to Daddy for his birthday. Excuse me. She said, "Happy birthday, Daddy. I want to give you a stuffed animal. I want you to eat a cupcake with ice cream, and I want you to go have a birthday surprise. I love you," is what she said. And while our son is precious, he can't yet speak, in classic Kirk family fashion, his actions spoke louder than his words, and his gift to you, Charlie, and myself for that matter, was deciding to become the man of the house and be fully potty trained at 16 months. But Charlie, baby, I know that you're celebrating in heaven today, but gosh, I miss you. We miss you, and we love you, and we promise we'll make you proud and Charlie's life was proof that freedom is not a theory, it's a testimony. He showed us that liberty begins not in the halls of power, but in the man of a heart surrendered to God. And so today, as we honor Charlie with this incredible Presidential Medal of Freedom on his birthday, I stand here with tears and just a humbled heart and spirit, because his story reminds us all that to live free is the greatest gift, but to die free is the greatest victory. Happy birthday, my Charlie. Happy Freedom Day. God bless you.
You know, I really wish that things could go back to how they were in the days after Charlie got killed. And what I mean by that is, in the days after Charlie got killed, there was a sense of togetherness. We all saw Charlie get killed. We all saw people celebrate it. They were happy, they were laughing, they were giggling, they were dancing, literally recording videos of them dancing. And for a couple of days there, it felt like a lot of us, we were putting our differences to the side with some people. Because in those moments, in those days after Charlie got killed, it seems like everyone, at least for a moment, understood what we were up against. And everyone understood that it would be better to be together in this and not so divided against our enemies. Let's just call it what it is. But since then, things have spiraled completely out of control. The Charlie Kirk case and the discourse and the conversations surrounding the case have gone all over the place. And it seems like Charlie's loved ones and his friends, not only are they being targeted by the left who celebrated Charlie's death and who killed Charlie, but Charlie's family and friends, they're being harassed from both sides. The left and the people who should be on Charlie's side, now they're going crazy on his family as well, and his friends as well. And I've seen a lot of people critical when it comes to Erika's reaction and how she's been acting this entire time since Charlie was killed. But obviously, the obvious argument that can be made is, hey, everyone grieves differently. There is no right or wrong way to grieve. Not that long ago, I lost my grandmother. She was the most important person to me, the closest person to me for my entire life. When I lost her, I was absolutely devastated. It hurt. But I still sat down and I recorded videos for YouTube that day, and I tried to just go about my day in the most normal way possible, because that is what gave me relief. That occupied my mind and took my mind off of being sad and depressed. So everyone handles things differently. And when it comes to Erika, we can't tell her or expect her to grieve a certain way, but also we got to take it one step further here. Because Erika has been placed in a position that none of us will ever be placed in. Erika cannot just grieve for herself. She also has to grieve alongside all of Charlie's fans. The millions of people who loved Charlie and adored Charlie and listened to his podcast or watched his shows or showed up to his debates or what have you. Erika cannot privately grieve like a normal person, because it's her duty right now, because of who her husband was, to kind of be somewhat in the spotlight, to be in front of cameras, because she has to do that for Charlie's followers. Okay? she can't grieve in the way that we would grieve because she immediately has to take over Charlie's business. And you don't just get to, oh, I'm going to sit at home and cry when you have, a business and operation like what Charlie was running. And there's sharks in the water wanting to take over TP USA. There's a lot going on. Obviously, Erika also has all of these politicians in her ear. So, none of us can even begin to imagine having to handle what Erika is having to handle right now. Because she's not just handling the loss of a husband, she's handling the loss of a husband that was assassinated for the world to see. But not just that, she's handling that at the same time as having to take over TP USA and everything her husband built. And she has the pressure of keeping that afloat. So none of us really understand exactly what Erika is going through. And yeah, maybe you want her to react this way. Maybe you want her to look sadder. Maybe you want to see more tears. But she has to be stronger than we would have to be in this situation because of everything she still has to handle. And not only does she have to deal with all of that, now she is a single parent and has to handle, raising kids as well. So she has a lot on her plate. So personally, I'm not going to be the one that's picking her apart and judging her every reaction and every face she makes. People are still allowed to smile. So that's my 2 cents when it comes to Erika, because I see a lot of people have been, very critical of her. But you guys let me know what you think about all of this, though, down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all very soon in the next one.